Good afternoon. The annual Giving Tree has been an Interfaith Food Pantry Network tradition since 2012. Each year, our creative team designs a new piece of art suitable to honor and thank our most gracious supporters from the year before. 2020, of course, was a year like no other. Your generosity morphed our tree into an enchanting small forest. What you are about to see is an artistic expression of a community that cares. It is beautiful proof that Morris County comes together to support its own in times of crisis. And while this year's tree will amaze you, what we can't share with you are the hopes that you brought to many of our clients, to the parents who lost jobs, or the many seniors we added to our client list who were unsure about where they would safely get food during the shelter-in-place guidelines. Each leaf represents thousands of people who could take some comfort knowing food was available to them when so many other things in the world were unsure. I'd like to thank Rob Baumeister of Refined Sight, who donates the production and installation of our tree each year. Rob also does the printing for our virtual Spring Gala, which will be held on Friday, April 16th. Please check out the website for details. I'm going to turn it over now to Tim Lockwood, IFPN's board chair, for a more formal welcome. Then you'll hear from Carolyn Lake, our executive director. She will add color to the extraordinary picture of the year that has passed and tell you how we are putting all your wonderful gifts to good use, making sure people had access to healthy food even during some very dark days. Let me close by saying that we look forward to welcoming each and every one of you back into the building someday soon, so you can find your name on this glorious tree, and so that you too can marvel at this representation of goodness and kindness and generosity.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us online today. I only wish, as in years past, we were here together celebrating each and every one of you as we reveal our giving tree. We live in an amazing community that responded with incredible generosity when the community needed it most. Whether it was your time or treasure, you provided much needed support to those that are less fortunate. 2020 was certainly a year that made us all stop and take notice. In an instant, the world changed, and with it, the Interfaith Food Pantry Network. We instantly understood the meaning of essential when our team put their health at risk every day to ensure that those that needed help received it. Your community and our board of trustees are eternally grateful. We instantly understood that we are all in this together. The financial contributions that followed allowed us to continue to provide healthy food to those that needed it. Without that support, it would not have been possible. I sincerely thank all of you for being there for your neighbors. Lastly, while we always understood how valuable our volunteers were, it was amplified this year when we were not able to have them in the building. You found ways to give of your time through food drives, farmers markets, or the many other ways that you give of yourselves. You are and continue to be an inspiration to us all. We look forward to a return to normal when we can all be together again. Our giving tree, which will be revealed shortly, represents how our community came together. Whether through time, food, or money, your contributions are represented here. There was such an outpouring of support, we almost needed a new building to house the tree as it has dramatically grown. I am in awe of all of you and cannot thank you enough for the care you demonstrated for our community. As we look to the future, we continue to evolve to meet the ever-changing needs of our clients and pantry partners. We are greatly increasing our refrigeration to provide more healthy, fresh produce and proteins. We are planning on expanding our client choice to better serve the diverse needs of our clients and provide them with an even more dignified experience that reflects what everyone in the community already enjoys. It is each of you that makes this possible. To all of you, thank you.
Welcome, and thank you all for joining us for the dedication of our annual giving tree. This year's tree is quite remarkable, and we're so happy that you tuned in for the reveal. Like Tim said, I wish we could all be here in person, and while we may seem distant through the lens of your computer screen, know that our gratitude is just as heartfelt and real as it is when we're together here in person at 2 Executive Drive. We hope we can be together again in person soon. Often, we look back over the previous year and remark, wow, that went fast, or it seems like just yesterday. Here at the IFPN, I can assure you that that has not been the case. So much has happened over the last year. In March of 2020, Over the course of just a few days, our operation dramatically changed. With closing not an option, we had to quickly come up with a new plan on how we were going to continue to safely supply our families with the food and resources they desperately needed. To keep everyone safe and ensure the continuity of services, we spelled our volunteers and sent half of the staff home so we had backup in case the front line fell to the pandemic. Food and essentials, if you recall at that time, were very hard to come by, but we acted swiftly and spent a good portion of our annual food budget at the onset of the pandemic. It proved a very wise decision, as so many of our regular food donors, houses of worship, civic groups, schools, businesses, halted gatherings, and of course halted food drives as well. We didn't know at that time if we could even accept food donations because there was still so much uncertainty about how the virus was spread. Compounding our challenge was that our main fundraising event, the Spring Gala, could not be held. 1 month later, the effects of closures, downsizing, and unemployment hit, and the number of new families applying for assistance skyrocketed. Last April, we experienced a 200% growth in the number of new families seeking our help. We were not alone in our predicament. Our distribution partners, served by our mobile pantry, were also navigating rough waters. While they typically rely on us for items like fresh produce and dairy, they were also running out of staples, pasta, tuna, peanut butter. In order to ensure they could keep their doors open, we began supplementing these items as well. Shortly after, we received a call from the Morris County Housing Authority. Hundreds of seniors in quarantine had no food. We quickly sprung into action, turning our Nutrition Education Center into a massive bag packing operation, and our mobile pantry team began delivering emergency relief bags to additional seniors in Morris Township, Randolph, Rockaway, Wharton, and Dover. Our home delivery program also grew during this period, thanks to some very brave volunteers who stuck with us during this uncertain time, and to our heroes at Morristown Medical Center, who worked side by side, even if separated by a door, with our client services staff to ensure families in quarantine were receiving much needed food. While all of this was happening, our leadership team began evaluating our burn rate. How long could we keep up with this dramatic increase in demand among a significant drop in in-kind donations and revenue? This was a time of great uncertainty, and while we could project and speculate, there was just no way of knowing what each day would bring. We took it day by day for a very quiet few weeks. On a drizzly Friday afternoon around mid-April, a mini parade of cars and trucks came through our parking lot. It was the first group we had seen in weeks, and initially we thought they were lost. But that parade turned out to be the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, our friends who typically organize the annual Morristown St. Patrick's Day Parade with the first food donations we had seen since the lockdown. They had collected more than 1,000 pounds of food, and at that moment we realized we are still truly a community of neighbors helping neighbors, and even more so during our most challenging times. Their food drive was followed by extraordinary efforts and large community events run by individuals like Sophia Manley of Morris Plains, Beth Vecchio of Cedar Knolls, Melissa Spiota, and the flag groups and mayors of Morristown, Morris Township, Chatham, Madison, and Hanover, and so many others who had the ability to organize and help out. Along with the support of our grocery partners such as Wegmans and King's, farms including Allsteeds and America's Grow-Row, and so many others who contributed once we knew it was safe, nearly 500,000 pounds of food was donated in 2020. As word spread about the stress from the number of new families encountering financial hardships and relying like agency on ARDs to feed their families, financial contributions started pouring in from all of you and many of our friends who have supported us over the years. Though we received some relief from the government through a PPP loan and a few other sources, we could not have done all of what we did last year without your incredible support. We received a much needed boost from the New Jersey Pandemic Relief Fund, followed by donations from our board, individual families, foundations we had worked with in the past, and our corporate partners all reached out. Our friend Tom Hayes at New Jersey Natural Gas was one of the first, followed by our friends at Wegmans, Barclays, Allergan, First Energy, the Odyssey Group, the Margaret Darren Foundation, and so many others that you'll shortly see prominently displayed on our tree. Thanks to all of you, we achieved and surpassed our fiscal stability markers and are entering 2021 well-positioned to meet the future needs of our community. There are a few more chapters to our 2020 story that I would be remiss to omit. I promise I'll keep it to the abridged version. When we closed down in March, one of our board members, Brian Storms, asked if we would be open to an in-person visit from a friend who had something to offer us. He introduced us to Paul Richardson, Bill Martin, and Brian Natali of Highlander Equipment. Realizing we desperately needed additional warehouse capacity, they donated their services to reconfigure our warehouse and added in a free lease on a narrow aisle forklift, enabling us to increase our dry goods storage capacity by nearly 60%. This helped us immediately handle the increased volume of non-perishable food we needed to keep up with the demand. The other group that I want to acknowledge are our partners at GAF, who also reached out to see what they could do to help. Due to social distancing and so much uncertainty, our free farmers markets were temporarily suspended. But they had resources, refrigerated trucks, volunteers, and an enormous campus so we could resume this very popular service. Our partnership was solidified, friendships were formed, and we worked side by side in the heat, cold, and rain to ensure healthy foods were made available to all. At their campus alone, more than 100,000 pounds of fresh produce was distributed during nearly 3,700 family visits. Our clients were so grateful that by the end, they were writing notes and thank you cards, bringing donuts and home-baked treats to the folks at GAF just to show their appreciation. We have since been able to replicate a slightly modified version of the GAF distribution here at Executive Drive, and are happy to report that the free farmers markets are back up and running in a drive-through format, and our friends at GAF are still with us, volunteering bi-weekly to make sure that the farmers markets are going. Our mobile pantry program also grew substantially over the course of 2020. Joining our network last year was Roxbury Social Services, St. John's Food Pantry in Dover, and the Notre Dame Food Rescue Ministry. In all, the network served by our mobile program grew from 16 locations to 28, resulting in a new name and brand for us, more reflective of who we are and what we do. Thanks to you, our incredible supporters who helped us keep up with the challenges we faced, we emerged from 2020 as the Interfaith Food Pantry Network. We are strong and we are well positioned to serve the needs of our community well into the future. Before I close this very long-winded speech, I would like to acknowledge two extraordinary groups of people. First of all, our Board of Trustees for guiding us through 2020 and standing by our sides during one of the most trying times we had ever experienced as an organization. Tim Lockwood, Bruce Seidman, Nathan Umbriak, John Eade, Dana Spanger, Russ Hall, Tom Bontempo, Ann Corwin, Helen Hallberg, Chris McDonald, Tracy Polifka, Guy Raymaker, Brian Storms, and Greg Supron. I want to thank each and every one of them. The second group are my personal heroes. Their courage, dedication, and passion are just something that you rarely encounter in a lifetime, and I'm so humbled and honored to call them my colleagues. They stuck their necks out. They took risks. They took on tasks so far beyond what they were hired to do, and they worked tirelessly, day and night, to ensure no one in Morris County who sought help would be turned away. The IFPN staff, our client services team led by Liliana Herrera, Diana Garcia, Jessica Revelorio, German Ortiz, Zoe Garcia, and Denise Blakely. Our mobile pantry crew, Patrick Mitchell, Val Schuzler, and Jim Sillens. Our food and facilities crew, Bill Zakoff, Tony Aviles, David Bean, Bob Johnson, and Tess Clarkin. Katie Galton, who never missed a beat, managed to coordinate a massive amount of healthy food ordering along with her Healthy Choices program. Our development team, Sandra Benedict, Joanne Brazier, Julia Murtha, and Kylie Powell. And our administrative team, led by Wendy Potke, thank you Wendy, Mez Manbretti, Liz Laverty, and last but certainly not least, Allison Phillips, our volunteer manager, who we are very happy to report is once again managing volunteers. Their jobs changed dramatically last year, but it was because of their dedication that we reached new heights, distributing 1.5 million pounds of food during 27,000 family visits. None of this would have been possible without all of you. Your extraordinary generosity not only got us through 2020, but enabled us to reach many more people and strengthen the food safety net across Morris County. With your help and continued support, we stand ready to meet any challenges ahead. On behalf of all of the families we serve, thank you for making such a remarkable difference in their lives at such a difficult time. On behalf of all of us, thank you for your continued support.